Okay, here we are on August 25th, 2011. We're talking with Drop Dead. Da-da! Hey, Drop Dead, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, I'd say.
We love your tie.
Ah, thank you very much.
Is there a story behind that?
Well, yeah, it's kind of complicated. Well, the simple answer is that I'm looking for work.
Okay.
So I figure if I'm wearing the tie, then that'll give me a leg up if I can work out here.
Yeah, I don't think it's every day you see somebody walking to PCT with a tie.
Nope. Yeah, pretty much the response I've gotten so far is that nobody's ever seen anybody walk to the PCT with a tie before.
Now, I wonder if there's a reason for that. Let's see.
I don't know. I mean, for me personally, when I was going to be wearing one of these shirts with a collar to walk through the desert, I figured that those are kind of boring, and ties are kind of the most interesting parts of male fashion, so I figured I'd get a tie.
I think it's really cool, man. I really do.
So I picked this one to match my hat. Some friends of mine in San Francisco have a hat shop called Paul's Hat Works, and they custom made the hat for me, and I picked out the hat, or picked out the tie to match the hat. So
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So where are you from, if I can ask?
I was born and raised in San Francisco.
All right.
Yeah.
So what made you go on the PCT, and how's your hike going and all that?
I first encountered the PCT when I was probably about 11 years old. I was doing a trip with the Boy Scouts, and I saw this sign for the Pacific Crest Trail, and I asked my dad, what's that? And he told me about this long trail that went from Mexico to Canada. And I figured you had to be Superman to hike it. And so, of course, I was never going to do it. But at some point, I hiked the John Muir Trail, and then the Pacific Crest Trail started seeming more possible. Then a friend of mine hiked in 2008. He's a H.R. Huff and Puff. And watching him hike made it seem like the logistics were a lot easier than I had been imagining them to be. I thought you'd have to mail stuff to yourself the whole way, and it seems to be a lot less complicated than that. And so then I said, okay, one day I'll do it. And got laid off from my job with the Census Bureau, and so I had some time and a little bit of money saved up, and I figured this was the time to do it.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It worked out well.
Now I understand you got some friends, some puppets, and we hear that you put on a good story using your puppets, and we wonder if you would honor us with a story starring your puppets and yourself. Is that too much to ask? Are we cool?
You actually have that backwards. This is the Puppet Community Theater, and I actually have not made any stories with the Puppet Community Theater. What I do is I get other people to make
Here, hold them up so we can see them.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them on my fingers.
Okay.
But maybe what we can do is a deal, since you're interviewing me, that maybe I could tell a little story with the puppets, and then afterwards, then I can film you telling a story yourself with the puppets.
You know what? Fair is fair.
That's really what they're here for. Because
I'm not sure if I have any stories or not.
I get the feeling you do.
I don't know.
What a joke.
I'll think back there, see if something comes up. I don't know.
Yeah, because for me, the part of my hope coming out on the trail was to get other people to do improvisational performance. That's one of the things that I like to do with my own life, and I thought that it would be fun to try to get other people to do it.
Sure.
And way better to tell the story of the PCT through other people's voices than just my own. So, let's see. To start with the story, usually you have to always pick out the characters. And
so what story are you going to tell? Can you?
I think I'm going to tell a story of when I was trying to hike into Echo Lake. And let's see here. I think these will be...
Did you hear that, kids?
Okay.
Okay.
Away.
Yeah.
What's that?
What's the weight on
Oh,
each
these things weigh a ton. If you ever pass me on the trail, it's because I'm carrying the puppets.
People don't pass you.
Yeah.
So,
My little knife.
okay, so I had called my dad at Carson Pass, having completed about 12 miles in maybe just over 4 hours, which felt really good considering how slow the mileage had been with all the snow previous. And I said, Dad, I'll be at Echo Lake tonight, no problem. I've done half my mileage for the day, and I've got a whole bunch of the day left to hike still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll get there in time for dinner, but you can meet me there tonight, or I'll be spending probably a full day there tomorrow, taking care of all my errands and things like that. So I wasn't able to reach him, just left him a message and headed off hiking. At that point, I was probably about the 12th person who had done those miles. So there weren't really tracks going, a whole lot of tracks going through the PCT at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I hiked up and had a little trouble getting to Pyramid Lake, trying to keep track of the trail as it got lost in the snow in the woods, and then got up onto the ridge and part of the Tahoe Rim Trail. And on my map, it looked like it was just follow along the top of the ridge,
Mm-hmm.
and then drop down a stream, canyon, and then get down into the main canyon and walk out to Echo Lake. And I was working with a map that had 100-foot contours, so there wasn't a whole lot of detail to it. And I figured the only thing I had to do is make sure that I didn't drop off the ridge too early, and I could just follow it along. So I started going along, and I came to just cliff block after cliff block where another drainage had come, and so you either had to climb down, climb back up to get back on the ridge, or climb down and climb around the block, or backtrack and get on the ridge again and hike along. So that was getting very frustrating. I couldn't find any tracks. I didn't see any blazes or marks kind of showing the way to go. So I'm hiking along, and I found some snowmobile tracks that were headed down. I said, well, if the snowmobiles can go down this way, then certainly I can hike down this way, and this must be where the trail is, and it'll take me down to Echo Lake. So I started going down. At some point, the snowmobile tracks stopped, so I guess they must have turned around. And then it started feeling like pretty steep, and this probably wasn't the trail anymore, but there was a creek, and I could follow the creek down. It must be where it was I was going. And if worst case scenario wasn't where I was trying to go, at least I was getting off this stupid ridge, because a ridge walk is nice if you have a view, but there wasn't going to be any view from where the trail was trying to be on there. So anyway, I started going down, and have to do kind of difficult scrambling over some rocks, then some heavy bushwhacking. I found a really beautiful area with where...
Were you carrying your machete with you?
No machete.
Oh.
No, there were times when I was wishing I had a machete though. And then I got to this area where there was beavers had been at work, and so it was amazing, like gnawed up trees and falling over. And it was just really cool. But then it was starting to kind of get dark, and I still hadn't found the trail. I didn't cross the trail where I thought I would have. So I started worrying about getting to someplace where I could camp, and also worrying about what if my dad had showed up at Echo Lake and I'm not there. So I think the best thing that I can do at this point is just follow the water. And if I follow, because I could hear a stream, if I follow the water, that'll take me either to a lake or to some road that I have to cross at some point. So I started following the sound of the water.
Sounds pretty reasonable.
And it was really kind of, then I got into the woods and it got darker, and didn't like that because I just don't really like the woods. But I kept going, bushwhacking, jumping over logs, and finally found a little trail. I said, awesome, here we go. I started following the trail, and it's getting darker and darker. At some point I started to be able to see my shadow from the moonlight as I was hiking through. Still didn't want to put on my headlamp because I wanted to be able to keep my peripheral vision. And hike down.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, as I expected, I hit a dirt road. I said, okay, I must be almost to Echo Lake. So I started hiking along the dirt road, and I saw some cabins. I was like, oh great, I expected I'd find some cabins. I must be close to Echo Lake. Then before too long, the dirt road turned into a asphalt road. So I kept hiking along. And then the cabins turned into fancy houses. I started thinking, maybe I'm not where I think I am. So I keep going. Then the road sign says like 35 miles an hour. Like, okay, this is really not what I would expect to find.
This is not where I want to be.
Where I'm trying to go. So then I see a woman walking out of a house and walking down. I said, oh, are you going for a walk? She said, no, I'm just going back over to my house. I said, oh. If I keep following this road, will I get to Echo Lake? She said, no, Echo Lake is over that way. Do you have a place to stay tonight? No, actually I don't. So fortunately, so she invited me into her house where her husband was sitting watching television. She said, I found a hiker, he's going to stay with us tonight. And so this woman, Cindy, went and took all of my dirty clothes and laundered them.
Wow.
Gave me an amazingly comfortable bed to sleep in. Wow. Went upstairs, whipped up a instant vegetarian meal and fed that to me. Asked me what I wanted to drink with dinner, and I offered a few things. I said, oh, if you've got a bottle of wine open, I'll take that. Proceeded to open a brand new bottle of wine, and then fed me a huge bowl of ice cream before sending me to bed. Meanwhile, her husband was mostly just sitting there watching television. And then in the morning, she made me pancakes, and as her husband got ready to go to San Francisco, which is where I'm from, and she said, Steve normally only gets to eat pancakes when we have company. So, oh yeah, thanks for the pancakes, honey. So he went off. Anyway, and then she took me to Echo Lake.
Wow.
So I had ended up in South Upper Truckee was where I ended up, in a town a little ways off. So for me, that was just a story of trail magic in unexpected places. This has been a wonderful stay of expected trail magic, which you never know exactly what to expect. But there's also wonderful people like Cindy and Steve who are on the trail and willing to help out desperate, tired, cold.
You also have to put credit where credit is due, and that is, I think there was only one set of footprints.
Only one set of footprints?
Sure.
Where?
God was carrying you through that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful where generosity can just manifest itself.
Well, that's a cool story.
There we go.
Thank you for telling that.
Yeah, no problem.